Before we start tonight, well, I'd like to introduce Reverend Harold Adams. He's going to give our invocation tonight. And Dr. Gary Weber is going to do our pledge. So if we all stand, Gary, get us going.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray, please. Our Father, we come to you in your precious Son's name, in the name of Jesus. Lord, we're asking you, Lord, to guide the council tonight and to help them with their decisions of this town. Lord, I'm asking you to bless this town financially, spiritually, and Lord, just guide them and give them peace and comfort with what they decide. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. First item of business tonight will be, will you turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate? Second item of business, we'll have the roll call.
Councilwoman Risch.
Present.
Councilman Weber.
Present.
Councilman Schomel.
Present.
Councilman Nobby.
Present.
Councilwoman Montgomery.
Present.
Councilman Creech.
Present.
Councilwoman Seiler.
Present.
Let the record show that all 7 council people are here. We have a quorum and we can do business. I welcome you all tonight. This is going to be a short meeting. We only have about 2 or 3 little things on the agenda. First thing we're going to do is the reading of the minutes of the January 20, 2015 regular meeting.
I move to accept the minutes as they were presented to us.
Second.
Motion and a second that we accept the minutes as they were sent out. Any additions or corrections? Not appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes carried. New business, resolution 2015-04. It's a fire reimbursement of $28 came from medical exams. Taking money back shouldn't be a problem.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I move to accept resolution 2015-04.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass resolution 2015-04, taking $28 into medical exams, fire reimbursement. Is any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We have an ordinance, pending ordinance 3177. This ordinance would put $2,000 from the Riverboat Fund into the storm rally. You talked about this last week, gave the clerk treasurer permission, 2 weeks ago, gave the clerk treasurer permission to advertise, which she has done. Tonight is a public hearing. We are considering putting $2,000 into the storm rally. The storm rally is a great event that takes place for you, our community. I think everybody here that's left in the room is aware of it. And you voted last week to advertise for a public hearing. Tonight's the night when you make the decision. So I'm open for discussion or a motion, whichever you want to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to accept pending ordinance 3177.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to pass pending ordinance 3177 on first reading, placing $2,000 from the Riverboat Fund into the storm rally. Discussion.
Your Honor, I would like to have a roll call vote when you get there, please.
Okay, I think we're there. No discussion, roll call vote.
Just real quick, I'd like to say, I've been to it several times. It's a great event, inspires lots of kids, and I think it's anytime we can do something good for our kids, I think we're doing something right. So I encourage everybody to vote for this motion.
Anybody else? Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Risch.
No.
Councilman Weber.
Yes.
Councilman Schomel.
Yes.
Councilman Nobby.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montgomery.
No.
Councilman Creech.
No.
Yeah. Oh.
Now it's your turn, Ruby.
Yes, now it's my turn, yes.
What do you got?
4-3.
4 in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to suspend the rules and consider pending ordinance 3177 on third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to suspend the rules to consider pending ordinance 3177 on third and final reading on suspension of rules only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody against?
No.
That's the end of that. Okay. Who said no?
Tom.
Tom, you got it?
Yep.
Okay. Request to advertise for an additional appropriation for the police department, updated rules and regulations, Police Chief David Counselor. This afternoon, the Board of Works wrestled with this idea. David wants to upgrade the SOPs for the police department, and he's going to explain to you briefly why he wants to do it, briefly. And it was a 3-2 vote to send it on to the council. I told the Board of Works I would not sign the additional appropriation from a tax money. I would only agree to it, and I have that right, if it came from Riverboat. We cannot take any money from the general fund at this point. We just don't tear it. So David, if you'll make your presentation.
Okay. Our rules and regulations were written or put together back in 2004 under past administration. And at that time, what they did, they got several rules and regulations from other departments and basically pieced it together. And what happened is you get a rules and regulations that contradicts itself, and that's just what I've been working with for the last 7 years. We're in some legal issues right at the moment with our insurance carrier. And when we do this and we go in looking into the rules and regulations, it gets really mind-blowing because it'll say one thing on this page and you go to another page and it contradicts what it says on this page. Plus, it doesn't have a lot of things updated in it. It's kind of hard to update something that has been pieced together through other departments' rules and regulations that come together like this. Through John and I working together on several issues over the past 7 years, we've got a lot of advice from Charles Braun, who is the police academy attorney who teaches criminal law in the state federal level. And I didn't know it at the time back then, but also he writes standing operating procedure, rules and regulations for departments. It takes a lot of time for our city attorney and also members of the police department to sit down and write rules and regulations that coincide with federal and state laws, also with our city ordinances, along with a contract with the FOP. And so dealing with Mr. Braun and everything else, this came out that that's one of his services. And I asked him how much something like this would cost, and he quoted me about $5,000. That's what he quoted me. And John and I have talked this over, and I know I said this earlier today, I retire this year and everything else, and I could, throw up my hands and everything else, say, heck with it, ain't my problem, all this type of stuff. And you all can too. But yet, I'm born and raised in this town. I've been on this police department soon to be 35 years. I care about this town. I care about this police department. And there's nobody, every department has rules and regulations, but no department in this city has the responsibility of rules and regulations like we do. Last night we had a pursuit of a car that the pursuit ended up in Wayne County and with a minor crash involved up in Wayne County. And this is the situation. It come out, nobody got hurt, everything's cool, okay? But it could have been a situation where it could have been bad. Something like what we had here a few years ago when the guy was being chased through our town from Rush County, ended up hurting several people up here. And our old regulations, rules and regulations, don't cover some of the stuff that happened last night. And what's going on in this country today with law enforcement and everything else, like what's happening out in Ferguson, a lot of liability there, a lot of liability. And I got a quote for $5,000 to rewrite our SOPs and everything else, and to do it professionally to where it can be added to, subtracted from, to the next administration's coming in. Right now, we don't even have a solid format to even go off of. And John, you want to chime in here any on?
Yeah, it's not like I told the Board of Works. I've worked with David on these SOPs that we have, the standard operating procedures. And what that is, of course, is a handbook in effect that tells a policeman how he should conduct himself in a given situation every time he gets into that given situation. If you don't have a standard operating procedure to work with, that can vary from policeman to policeman and circumstance to circumstance. So you need to be able to go to the book and it says, in the case of a high-speed chase, for example, you're supposed to do A, B, and C, which is good because if you don't have that in place, one of the first things the liability attorneys are going to look for is the absence of that, because it shows that the man didn't have any guidance and he was being arbitrary, capricious, just doing it the way, shooting from the hip in effect. And the other thing is our SOPs are inconsistent and they are incomplete and they're contradictory in many cases. So they're difficult to work with, almost impossible. And it sets up some potentially severe liability situations. But I know it's a matter of funding and so on, so I just want to let you know that they are deplorable. They need to be replaced.
John, I talked to David a little bit about this, and I can see yay and nay. Apparently, we're going to get a new mayor next year, and could that administration change all these SOPs?
Oh, if they had what they conceive to be very poor SOPs, they could, I suppose. But that's not the idea. The idea here is to get a good, first-class set of standard operating procedures. Charles Braun is the expert recognized in the state of Indiana regarding these matters. He does excellent work, is very well respected, and has done this all over the state. So once you have someone of that caliber doing something like this for you, I doubt very seriously that many are going to want to change them.
David, did you present this to the Board of Public Works this afternoon?
Yes, I did.
What was there?
They had a pretty good response to it. The two voted against it, three voted for it. And I just don't think that, they think that we can, the two that voted against it thought that we could take what we got and, as a basis and build from that, and you can't.
Well, who would be
You've got to have a solid
responsible for
structure.
building on it? I mean,
Pardon?
Who'd be responsible for taking those existing SOPs and then building on it?
The city attorney and the police chief and his designated people. He
So
puts
no
on board.
no real professional who's dealt with it
No.
before, just
You
laypeople.
know, when
Well,
we started
Charles
dealing,
Braun would be.
yeah,
Well,
Charles.
yeah, but I'm saying that if,
the
We
attorney.
did it locally, what, who?
yeah, if we did it
If we
locally.
did it locally, it would take many man hours, and it would take a lot of research and look up stuff. Charles Braun is like, he's the top when it comes to law.
So it'd be written according to Indiana law.
It has to coincide, everything has to have a backing of federal, state laws, city ordinances, and we have to work with the contract in our city, you know, with the FOP.
It'd be written
And it
by
all works in
Be
together.
written by a professional, I mean.
Exactly.
That's what-
And he'll be down here to meet with all of us and how the city, of course, all cities are basically the same structure, but he's not just gonna step back, he's gonna come down here and talk and study the Connersville Police Department.
What we
And the
have
city
now is a
council.
patchwork of things brought in from various administrations, various cities, trying to compare a given city to Connersville. It might work on 2 or 3 standard operating procedures, but when you get into the other areas, it doesn't work anymore, so you jump over to another city. This is when you're trying to do it yourself and patch something together, and it almost inevitably ends up with something that's not good.
May I interject here that,
I imagine Charles Braun would start all over.
yes, he was
Fill out
starting
what
from
we have
the
and
bottom
start
up. Another thing is any police chief that comes into the situation and looking to start new, it would be comforting if he had a good set of rules and regulations that he can add to and subtract from. You know, if he wants to change a policy, that's pretty easy to do, and bring it in front of the Board of Works and everything else, that we want to do it this way, he's got a format to go through. He don't have to go up from the bottom up, you know, or excuse me, from the start, you know, he's got a good format there. And it scares me to death, because there's things that we have to do out here that we don't have anything covering us. And if I just put something together with John and throw it into that mess, then it isn't going to correspond with, it's not going to tie in very good. And it needs to be just totally rewritten and where it's simple. I remember when I come on this police department, we had a rules and regulations about like this. And then they went about like this, and then that garbled up mess is about that thick. And really, they probably should be about that thick. But at the same time, it's what it's in there, and it just, what we got is just a mess. It's garbled up and everything else, and it don't cover a lot of things that's going on, 12, 13 years later. If things are different than it was, back, 10, 15, 20 years ago. More responsibility, more liability, and things are happening today that back then, a lot of police officers and departments didn't think about certain things. It was just second nature to do things. Nowadays, and where everybody is, believe me, we've all been in the lawsuits of just nothing we've done really wrong, just by virtue of we're city employees, and the mayor and myself and others, that something happens, even if you're not directly involved, you're getting sued left and right.
Don't tell everybody that. Nobody will run for my job.
I tell you, it's been an education, being a police chief
Okay.
here.
What I told the Board of Works today is that Julie and I have made up our mind, we're not gonna have any additional appropriations out of tax money. Tax money is all spent. If the Board of Works wanted this to happen, I told them they could refer it to you, and if you wanted to take it out of the riverboat money, you certainly have a right to do that. We'll advertise for additional appropriation, and we'll do that. But I will not agree to take it out of tax money, and he does not have enough in his budget to just go ahead and get it done. We didn't appropriate money for that. It's not there. I think you all agree with me. This is above and beyond what we normally do in our financial situation. We don't want to spend $5,000 for that. The SOPs for the utility have been rewritten by the two new guys that are running utilities. You saw them. They done a good job. It's a little different because you're dealing with SOPs with the police department. We had a guy come through town about 100 mile an hour and raced up Park Road and hit two cars and then sued us when we did a roadblock, because they said that we did the roadblock improper.
Three family suits.
Yeah. Suits come in, tort claims come in constantly. You get them. And last night, this issue, they chased a guy up by the airport. He went through several people's yards, knocked down their fences. If the kids would have been out in the yard, he'd have killed them all. And then he got on and went north to Richmond, and they finally stopped him in Wayne County. Well, for an officer to go into Wayne County, there should be an SOP governing how far do you go into Wayne County. You chase them all the way to Greenville, Ohio, or do you quit at Richmond? Those things should be covered. And then all this stuff that's gone on at Ferguson, Missouri, to how you handle things, and that's one of the reasons we put the tasers in place. When do you use deadly force? In what situations do you use deadly force? All that is not clear in these SOPs, and they are, as John says, a mess. And we've had to fight through that with the officer that was suspended. We had to fight through those SOPs to try to get them to work with the insurance lawyers. I agree, they need to be. And all I'm saying is, please don't take that from tax money. If you're going to do it, take it from your riverboat fund. David, let's let them talk it over.
Well, that was a recommendation, Your Honor, by the
That's right.
board, that it move on to the council, and with the understanding that if they decided to finance it, it would be through Riverboat. That was part of the motion that was passed by the Board of Works this afternoon.
Last week, or our last meeting, we discussed the limitations of what the riverboat money could be used for when we were talking about the storm. This is okay, though.
It can basically use for just about anything outside of payroll and any kind of benefits, any fringe benefits.
Julie, it shows $143,875. How much of that is committed?
I looked today, about 34,000.
We have 109,000, she just told me roughly.
109.
Right?
Yes.
It would seem to me that if anybody needs SOPs, it would be the police department, of any department out there. I mean, because, again, you're right. I mean, you see everything on television, and, you know, some policemen are bad, some are very good, and they get sued, you know, for almost nothing, you know, and if, of course, it would be up to the policemen to read them, because if they don't read them, you know, I mean, then,
That's
But-
part of the training.
yeah, but I think it's very important. I mean, I had no idea they were that bad.
May I interject something? You know, I've dealt a lot with our insurance attorney, and he's been over the rules and regulations, and the other day, he was trying to sort through them, and it was really embarrassing. And him and Dennis and I sit there, and we're trying to go page to page, and it jumped several pages back to, like, we were in 14, we're going, making page 15, we're back to 2, you know, of another plan from another department they stuck in there back years ago, and didn't bother trying to get it organized or anything else. It's just a garbled up mess, and it's just really embarrassing. And I asked him, I said, is this the worst plan you've ever seen? He says, no, I've seen worse, but it's not good.
So have our policemen actually read these? Or been trained on these? Or how do they know what their standing operating procedures
It
are?
should be part of the training.
It's, you know, the basics
You're
of being a
right.
policeman's there, but, you know, but really, when you look down and everything else, and all the changes and everything else that's been made, and like I said, and I used to be the EMA director here for 15 years, and I'm aware how disaster plans are put together. And if there's something needs to be added, subtracted, there's something changes in the community, and we need to modify this operation procedure here in this part of the annex of this plan, just like an SOP, then you do that. And you get it cleared through your Board of Works and all this, and your council. But the thing is there's nothing you don't know where to go into this thing at. It's just a mess. I brought a thing out here right now, and you try to go through it. I got so many sticky notes in that thing, it looks like a Christmas tree. You know, trying to reference here and go back here, and John's been through the same thing and everything else, and we've been trying to, it don't cover everything. And just like something like happened last night, there's some things in that it don't cover. And that involved us and the Wayne County Sheriff's Department.
What's happened, I think, is through the years, some police chiefs have just put in what they thought ought to be in there. The proper way it should be done, it should be adopted by the Board of Works before it's ever put in the SOPs. And I think sometimes, like they changed a union agreement, so they just slipped a paragraph out of the union agreement into the SOPs.
I guess my concern is if we were, if we hired a new policeman, you know, say we did, where would he go for reference? I mean, where does he go to know what he can do and what he can't
Well,
do?
he'd get a copy of the SOPs.
But he would have the same trouble as you. He'd go back to 15, then go back to 2, and he'd
Yeah.
say, what am I doing?
No, I'd say if you mean right now?
Yes.
Yeah, he or she would really be confused.
Well, that would be a problem.
It sounds like it has to be updated what's happening now.
If they are confused though, we should be able to make some notes and then be able to change those things fairly easily. I mean, if you get 30 eyes on those things, then this is something you should be able to fix, I would think. I really feel that if we're going to spend $5,000 on this, and there is a real potential that the next mayor and administration comes in, they could just simply throw them away.
Well, you know,
They wouldn't have to follow them, and I have a deep concern on that one.
I don't think any mayor would throw them
Well-
away because it protects you.
No.
You know what, I agree,
You could easily
well,
change them, yeah.
I don't think, but I don't have a crystal ball in front of me, and I'm not going to try to think of what someone else is going to do. So
Well,
I have a real tough time at this point in at where we're at, voting for a $5,000 document that is in realistic terms could be thrown away next year.
you know, just being on the council, well, Fran, has this ever been an issue with you? I mean, all the time, I've been here 12 years almost, and I don't think it's ever been brought up.
No, not to my
So, I mean,
knowledge.
I'm just saying, that's my only crystal ball, is that it's never been brought up. And if it ever had been brought up, it'd be over one little paragraph in this huge document.
The SOPs
So I don't-
are always made to match the union contract.
Well, I don't think the SOPs would ever be brought before council.
No, they wouldn't.
They would have been brought before the Board of
My
Works.
concern is just training of the officers. I mean,
That's a small part, Gary. I mean,
Right.
if you're
right
a
now-
Ferguson and you're doing all that stuff, you better know what you
and
can
also
do and
the
you can't.
yes, John, the $5,000 price tag of redoing these rules and regulations, SOPs, John, that's pretty reasonable for all the work that's involved in a lawyer, correct?
Extremely reasonable.
Yeah.
I could imagine it being 2 or 3 times that much.
Well, but beside, since this is a council discussion, besides what John just said about the price, just forget about the price. I like what Dr. Weber said. If we have SOPs, is anybody gonna pay attention to them? And I'm not beating David up or anybody else. I know in the past, we spent $1 zillion for vests. Well, some of the policemen don't like to wear them.
Well, they have to now,
That's my point.
because we put into the
But wait a
rules
minute,
and
wait a
regulations.
minute, that's my point. John, I guess speaking to you, if we have an SOP, no matter what they may be,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as Gary said, you know, are they gonna pay attention? I mean, that's my, it's like Dr. Weber said, you know, I can't emphasize that enough, and I like what David brought up. Man, with a policeman, and this is hypothetical, do I use a
John-
taser or a gun?
Tom,
You know, that's
Can I answer
scary.
that?
That's
You
scary.
got responsible police officers out there, and yeah, they screw up every once in a while, okay? But they know what they can and can't do. They know what their limitations are, okay? And with the new rules and regulations, you know, they're going to see that they got backing on what they know what they can do. You guys act like we don't know when to come out of the rain or something.
No, Dave,
No.
nobody said that.
That's the way I'm kind of taking it.
No, I mean,
Man.
we're-
Well, I think you
I know
guys
where that's
support our
coming
new
from.
people coming in, and I think it's great that you brought that up, because it's gonna show that you're interesting, and you know the book's wrong now. And if you have a clear book, it'll be up front of them. Now, does everybody read every word? They may not read every word, but if they care about their lives, all these places, they will read it. And I think you're concerned, and I think it's a very good reason. Everything changes, and I'm for it.
It's a constant living,
It's an everyday
Well-
thing.
I have several questions for you.
sure.
Not only is this like, how should a policeman conduct themselves, but is it possibly an HR manual? Is it something like that too?
It ties
That
in,
kind
it
of-
ties into federal state laws, it ties into ordinances, it ties into everything.
Like
it does.
administrative policies?
Administrative
perhaps.
policy, but it falls into the backing of the powers of a police officer. So,
Like if you put somebody, how to put them on administrative leave or,
search and apprehension rules, you know, you're not supposed to hit, you know, if you're restraining someone with a baton, you know, there's certain ways to do that, you know, you don't, like for instance, the tasers, we have to have SOPs on tasers, pursuits, SWAT team, when it's called out and what their functions are. I can sit here all night and go through everything we do, everything that the police officer does, and he knows what to do. It's just,
Well, how does he know what to do?
because he's trained it.
Who
And
trained
we
him?
don't need
The
SOPs.
police academy, well, first off, they went to the police academy. then
Well,
they
that's what,
come
I'm
out
just
here.
asking, because I don't
But
know.
because they come out here, they work with these officers in
Okay,
this department.
we're getting off the grind here. Here's what happens. Say, we're going to dismiss a police officer. You go to the SOPs and see if that police officer has violated those SOPs, and those SOPs need to be very clear. And then you check to see what the union says about that. That's where it ties into the union. And then you check state law, and that's where we have to call Braun, and state law tells you, no, you can't do this, you can't do this. You can only do this. And sometimes it's even federal law. For instance, if the police officer happened to be disabled, then it falls under federal law. It's very, very complicated. The SOPs are not there to protect the police officer as such. It's there to protect the city, that the police officer followed the rule of how you handle this situation. And we've had a lot of cases where we've been tort claims against us and lawsuits, just lawsuits against us, because they say the police officer didn't do it in the right way. We also get that with the street department. Almost every year, we get a suit that he plows gravel on somebody's car and scratched the car. Not as serious as what going through the yards and maybe killing a couple of people. You get that. Every department has SOPs. The fire department has them, the street department has them, he has them. And in the past, I think they have pretty much been, when the union contract is passed, they bring them up to date to fit the union contract. This, now we're into a whole new era because of this Ferguson, Missouri, about they rough up prisoners, the way you question a prisoner, and if you have the SOP and they do it wrong, it at least protects the city. Hey, we told him how to do it. Whether he does it right or not, the SOP told him, it was passed by the Board of Works, this is how you handle this situation. Now, if he didn't do it, it's not the city's fault, you follow me? So it's a kind of a protection for the city. Now, every police officer ought to know what's in that book. We can sit here all night and do this. If you want to get a copy of the SOPs we have and evaluate them for yourself before we make a decision here, fine. If you want to advertise for a public hearing and take this money out of Riverboat, but we're not going to get any place. We've spent a half hour talking about SOPs. I think we've.
I think
we've-
Connie still had a question.
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, I think she had some
Okay,
questions.
so, talking about like where Tom left off about the vests. If it said like an HR policy, you have a way of making them wear them, making them use the tasers. So then again, you have an HR policy on how to follow, and in theory it can help us with saving money down the road. Like maybe if he didn't follow like these things, then maybe we don't have
It
to
covers everything.
we don't have to pay him. He doesn't have to be on paid leave. He's, you know how to do that. And then, when you're talking about a new mayor and a new chief of police, like we said, if this he's very qualified, he's the guru, probably not gonna get rid of these totally, but they can add to them
Yeah,
much
change the
easier.
background.
You know, we want to, change line,
Mhm.
5A, whatever.
Sure.
And as far as a contract, then, there's not a current contract, or when was
There's
the
not a
contract?
current contract.
There is no
No.
current contact.
So, is that just kind of written in also, or how much would that affect that?
Well, the contract is a separate thing from the SOP, but it's supposed to ride along with it. For instance, they had in the contract and that they had so many officers working at a time. Well, due to our man shortage, we've cut back on how many people work, all this type of stuff, which was in an SOP, which was in a contract, which really shouldn't be in a contract. It should be just part of the SOP because it's not really it's a negotiable thing. That's when unions start trying to run business, is when they start putting in a contract something that's a management position or a management decision. But they put in there how many days off a guy gets, how much his raise is, how much vacation he gets, and this and that and the other. And that's what's off on the contract for the personal officers that coincides with the rules and regulations, which this one don't do.
So, if it's a book this big, or if it's a book this big, you could come in at any time to probably the Board of Works, not really to us, but, and say you want to take out page 1, you're petitioning for a change in the policy that's
It can
written
be
on
modified. It's a
page
living, it's a
114.
living book that
Right,
you
and
can add and
it doesn't have to be
subtract.
scrapped totally and $5,000 every 5
No.
years.
I imagine another attorney would charge more than $5,000.
Right,
And
right.
I didn't realize he had them services, or I'd have talked to him years ago about it.
At this point, you can do the same thing though, correct?
Me?
You can come to the Board of Works, petition for a line to be changed and,
Sure.
okay.
But that thing I got in my office there, it totally needs redone. There's no place to start on it.
You just said you had all kinds of notes on it.
I have notes for me to where I have to go find what something says to enforce something.
So why would you not petition the Board of Works to have them changed? Where those
Because
notes
having
are?
something changed in a policy that's already there, and I go try to find, I can make my decision on this thing, if I want to use this type of punishment for something, for a conduct unbecoming, or I go flip over about 5 or 6 pages and use this kind of punishment.
So why wouldn't you take those and figure out which one that was preferred and then take that to the Board of Works and have that changed? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I just never felt like I felt like the whole plan needed to be redone.
Everything has to be updated.
Hold on,
Mike.
please, excuse me. So in 7 years' time, you went through this thing and
I've been
made,
working with that thing.
and not once have asked for a change?
No, I haven't. It
Okay.
need to be run. We've talked about redoing it.
Okay, well, that's
But
all I'm
it'd be hours
asking.
with the attorney
I
and other
understand.
members
I
to do
understand.
that.
And at this point in time, we don't currently have a contract, correct?
With the city?
Yeah.
With the FOP?
Yes.
No.
All right, so why would we take this moment in time, we have all these notes, you could go ahead and make the changes. Why would we take this moment in time to completely scrap what we have, spend $5,000 on a new plan that doesn't reflect the contract because there isn't one, and two could be scrapped next year? In my eyes, it doesn't make a lot of sense, not at this juncture. Now, if you,
let me
no,
say
hold on, I'm
something.
speaking, sir. At this juncture, I don't know why we would want to put that money forward to risk that possibility. So, I'm against this. I think that's evident. I hope everybody
Obviously.
sees why I'm against it. It's not because I'm against the police or anything like that. I think the timing's off on it. I really think the
Well, if
timing's
that
off on it.
pursuit last night would have turned into a fatality and some policemen got hurt and some other people got hurt, then I'll tell you something, the city of Connersville is gonna be in a big, big problem.
Sir, this was not on there last night. You had this written on the agenda that was given to us on Friday. The thing
These are
just
the type of
fell
things
in
that happened though,
last
Gabe.
night.
Okay,
I understand what you're
No,
saying.
you don't understand.
I understand
You don't
exactly
understand
what you're
nothing
saying.
about police work.
That's it, okay. More discussion, anybody?
I have
No,
one more
there's no
question.
point in us arguing, we're all here for one reason, to do what's best for the city, what's best for the police department.
I'm just thinking of something random. Like Julie, I'm just thinking about an HR manual, kind of. That's kind of where my mind's going. Do you give a policeman, off, say for funeral leave? Do they get?
It's all covered in
That's
the
all covered in
contract.
the
In the contract? Okay, so that's kind of,
It's all covered.
okay. So it's more like the disciplinary.
Yes,
It's-
it's disciplinary.
It's better to keep,
And you can't, and no department in the city is the same.
No,
It
they're
says they
all,
operate different.
it's better to keep your HR rules out of the SOPs, because they're all covered in the contract. And if you put something in the SOPs, and we got into that in utilities, it said one thing, and the contract said another thing. We got in big trouble. We have just, did you not see the new rules we wrote for the utilities?
they didn't see
Yeah,
those.
we
They,
also-
you didn't see them?
Those were
Okay,
the
they are available. We got brand new SOPs for the, and they've just been approved by the Board of Works.
Just to be clear, I mean, and I'm going back to Gabe's question. Okay, how much different would it be if we had a contract? Okay, I mean, if we did, and we did SOPs, how much influence would the contract have on the SOPs?
The SOP should not reflect the HR policy at all.
I mean, that's what I'm asking. I'm saying that,
It's, the SOPs are more the conduct of the officer.
right, which wouldn't make any difference whether you had a contract or not, right? Or does it make a little bit of difference?
It would reflect back to, if there's something that you're going over in the SOPs, or maybe in the contract, it would reflect to the SOPs for that answer,
Okay,
or
I'm
vice
just,
versa.
yeah, I'm just asking, I mean, Gabe's got a great point, but I'm just not so sure that the contract influences the SOPs at all,
Well,
or do they?
all of the disciplinary things for a police officer are covered in the contract.
Or in the contract, correct, you're right,
So
right.
if you don't have a contract and you try to write SOPs and the contract's completely changed in some form or fashion, the SOPs are completely changed. So I don't know why
Also,
we
you
would
have to
write.
change SOPs every 4 years?
No, these have been just,
I mean, I'm just asking questions, I mean,
2004 on these.
If the
Before that-
contract-
Before that, it was like 1990, and before that, it was probably 1978, or, yeah,
I just come from a
79.
different angle, I mean, I understand where Gabe's coming from, I'm just coming from the angle that you absolutely need to know what you can do and what cannot do as an officer. And if you don't, somebody's in trouble.
well, let's go back to why we don't have a contract. The contract tells us how many people we gotta hire. And the contract tells us things that we're not doing right now. I think I would be a hypocrite to bring that contract to you in 2015 in February or January and ask you to sign it when, because of the emergency thing we're under, we're not following it. Now, maybe I'm wrong with saying that. Maybe we should go ahead and adopt the contract and just violate it. But it seems stupid to me to adopt a contract that you can't live up to. Does that, anybody else agree with that?
I agree with that, yeah. So the contract needs to be changed.
So what we're doing right now is we're living kind of under the contract without any teeth in it, because it hasn't been signed, it hasn't been passed by you. But I can't be a hypocrite. We sign a
No, we
contract.
don't, we don't pass the contract.
Well, you do, you
We
adopt.
pass the
the ordinance.
financial into the ordinance of it. That's between you.
But we
and
can't
the-
live up to it right now, so
that's
why would
between
I
you
ask
and
you to
Public
pass it?
Works.
It just happened that it came due during this period.
Well,
But we're actually following the contract. When we have A disciplinary thing, we follow the contract exactly. We just don't follow it with money and it's not signed. Because it tells us how many police officers we gotta have, and we might not be able to have that many.
Well, I would think if a new mayor came in and a new police chief came in and that was already done, I'd be pretty happy. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, you had somebody do it for you. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's one less thing they have to worry about.
I wish I had a good SOP when I come in here.
Do you want to proceed with this? Would you like to look at the SOPs yourself, see what they look like before you make a decision? What do you want to do?
I don't want to take any action on it tonight. That's just me.
I'd like to make a motion that we either vote for it. If it comes out of Riverboat, and that way, if you have new people next year, they'll have a guideline to go by. If a new person falls in his position, they won't even know where they're at now. And you do have a guideline in everything you do.
Ruby, your motion is that you want to give permission to advertise for a public hearing to take $5,000 out of the Riverboat to do the SOPs. That's your motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
We got a second. Okay. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I'll discuss one last thing. I think that if a department comes to us and asks for something because they're really, really stressed out about it, it's our job to listen. And he made a good point. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Well, you got a book to go by, and then everybody can read it, and it's updated on it. Why wouldn't you want to update it?
Are you finding that we're going into new territory and of things that maybe aren't even talked about in your present SOPs? I mean, as far as situations with, I mean, there was high-speed pursuits 20 years ago, but I mean, are we?
Well, let's put it this way. I was involved in a shooting back in 2001. And I shot and killed a guy along with another officer. There was really nothing in that covered that. And we still got the same SOP. Well, I'll take that back. It's been updated since then. There's nothing in there at all. Nothing.
The way people are interrogated, the way they're handled,
Right.
all that is covered in SOPs. You know,
SOP runs contracts.
okay. You ready for the question?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. This is on permission to advertise for a public hearing on the $5,000 to renew the SOPs.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
Councilman Schobel?
Yes.
Councilman Nobby?
No.
Councilwoman Montgomery?
Yes.
Councilman Creech?
Yes.
Councilwoman Seiler?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rish?
Yes.
What's the score?
6-1.
6-1, we'll advertise for a public hearing to review those SOPs. We'll have the public hearing at the next meeting.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Dave.
Anybody got anything under old business they'd like to bring up tonight? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
John, do you know where we're at with the deed for the part up north?
Waiting for you to say something.
Talking about
The old trail bed up there.
still working with Kenny and he with the surveyor trying to determine what the railroad had and what it didn't have compared to ownership of real estate and or easements and the location of each one along the trail, the track.
Has he got with you about the state deeds that he's found the state, they found the state
A
deeds?
lot of them are handwritten, barely able to read. They're difficult. They were written in the 1880s. And they're 1870s, 60s. They're very hard to decipher. But the idea is to try to, along that entire length, be able to place the deed in each, wherever it belongs along the puzzle, so you can tell whether it's an easement or a fee simple. And so far, he's not having much luck with it.
Okay.
It's one of those things, if you really wanted to do it right, you would hire a firm to get in and dig and dig and dig and spend some money, and probably more than $5,000 to get it straightened out. And I'm not being facetious, seriously. Because it's a much more difficult than you might think.
Probably hire a lawyer.
Well, maybe not a lawyer, but some people that know about these things, surveying, those types of engineers, you know. Yeah, but that's gonna cost money. I don't know what you wanna put into it.
Anything else?
Yeah, where are we at with those, the steps on East Fifth, or on Fifth Street?
They're open, right?
No,
The west side is not.
that property up there is private property. There was a study done on a thing 12 years ago, and our past city engineer and past city attorney deemed it was his property. It was built on there illegally, and if they didn't fence it in, he was probably liable. If somebody walks up them steps and breaks their neck, he's gonna be sued. So he blocked them off. End of story.
So it's still private property. and
What
still
year was
blocked.
that?
I think it was in, I want to say about 2000, 2002. I think it's 12 years ago. He's got all the paperwork on it, by the way, too,
Who's that, the
landowner.
landowner? And who is that?
I'll tell you his name in when I think about it.
Smithson?
No,
Nothing?
I'll get it for you.
So that can't be opened.
No,
So does that mean the other ones need to be closed as well?
no. You talking about the ones down below?
Well, there's a portion of it that's still open,
That's his property.
But it's-
Anything on that hill, them steps going up, is his property.
but they're not fenced in though.
No,
So they need to be fenced in?
up to him.
his risk.
He's been told by the city attorney back then and also the surveyor. The surveyor was
Jerry Goben.
Jerry Goben, and they said that you might want to bust him up if you want, but he chose not to.
And what,
Probably that area on the east side of the hill down to Reed Street, that's,
I believe that's city,
I think it is, right, so there's no,
but the one above that is
Yes.
on private property.
absolutely. Absolutely. Near that house, yes.
Dave, the one just below Hill Street? The one you're talking about?
The ones that go
Between
in through the
Fifth-
woods where we
yeah.
tore a house down at,
Yeah.
I think that's city property there.
Yeah, that's all city property that starts at
But the ones
Reed.
going from there on up is private property.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Anything else under old business? Anybody?
Yeah, the corner of 16th and Western, is it Pramco? Is that right? Did they have a timeline on doing anything about the corner?
What are you talking about?
Western, 16th and Western.
16.
Sold
Reclaimed
down the
energy.
lots.
We can't,
Reclaimed-
no, there's no timeline on
No
what they're gonna do,
timeline?
but I have seen the plan.
Oh.
They have a plan. It's a nice, very nice plan.
Okay.
It'll eventually be a new garage up there, a new office building. Yeah, they brought that down and showed it to me, but I don't have a timeline.
Okay.
Anything else under old business? Okay, miscellaneous business, Ruby, you got anything?
No, thank you.
Tom?
Good.
Good, okay. Debbie?
Nothing.
Gabe? Julie?
Nope.
Brad?
No,
Dr. Weber?
No.
Tom? Mr. Baker?
No, sir.
Okay. I have a couple of things we need to talk about a little bit here. We have a Jamie Ham out at the high school. She's a counselor. She has been named a national finalist and Counselor of the Year. Probably you're aware of that. That's quite an honor for Connersville. I think that's the second person that has got up that high. I wanted to mention that. I really wanted her to come to the meeting tonight, but she was unable to come. But I want to recognize her for that.
She also got to meet at the White House, and with Michelle Obama was recognized there
Yeah, I seen
on
that.
Friday. It was on TV. I can't remember
Yeah,
exactly
it was
what
on
channel.
Channel 13. I seen
Yeah, it was on Channel 13, and you could watch
Yeah.
it online as well. Pretty neat event.
We, when we went through the heroin thing, and by the way, the task force is working. If you can tell, the deaths have slowed down. I hate to say that too loud because something could happen, but we probably got to, I can't say that either, but we put a lot of people in jail. I can't say that. And the heroin thing has slowed down. The task force is working, and we just got permission to run it until the end of May.
Yeah, that's first of May,
1st of May.
But may I interject something there?
Yeah.
Myself and Todd Fields, First Sergeant, State Police, we're being watched pretty closely over there at the state police post and what we're doing by the governor and the state police superintendent. And what we've done has been very successful. And we haven't just put everybody in jail. We put quite a few in jail, 60 plus. But we haven't put everybody we've dealt with in there. We have an outreach program, and we're trying to get people help. We got some doctors involved, we got some mental health facilities involved, and we got churches involved. And so we are offering help for these people and give them the tools to get help and get off this stuff. And it's up to them. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right?
I guess that's what you say.
That's what I always heard. But you give them the tools to try to do that, and hopefully they'll take that opportunity to do that. So we have to do that. We're not out just to throw people in jail. We're out here mainly getting the people, not so much that has the problem with ones that's dealing, but anymore we don't have one main big kingpin. It's people run over to Dayton, get this stuff, come back. They're users, and at the same time they do a little business on the side selling it to support their habit. So that's basically what we're dealing with. But we are being watched very closely. We've got good, positive results from it, and I think we're impressing people at the state level, and we're going to go back up and meet again. I hope some things develop over there that's more on a permanent basis. Right now, everything's been, right now we've scaled back a little bit on what we're doing, and reevaluating some things, and going to do some things just a little bit different. So this first 3 months we were there, it was pretty aggressive. Now we're going to just start doing something a little different and see what happens. It's what, like I always say, you know, if you can cut the grass, but it's going to grow right back. And right now we've done a really good job and everything else. Traffic has slowed down in this community and everything else, but if we just stop, it's going to grow back. It's going to come back.
You said we have permission until May?
Huh?
We have permission to continue until May?
Yeah, I contacted the governor, and I think Todd Fields contacted the governor.
Frank Jackson also, and also the sheriff.
Yeah, so we're working with the state.
Cool.
Okay, along with that heroin thing, the bishop came down from the Catholic Church, and we were invited, Fran and I were invited. We had prayer in the park for 8 weeks, was it? 8 Sunday nights?
It was 9 weeks, yes.
And after the bishop had come down, he sent me a nice letter and asked that we notify the council, so I've asked Fran to read it tonight. So I always ask Fran to read because he reads good.
Well, this is dated January the 17th, 2015. Dear Mayor Urban, please accept my best wishes for joy and peace at the beginning of a new year. I remember with gratitude the opportunity to visit with you last November in Roberts Park. Your generous hospitality is unforgettable. The key to the city is displayed prominently in my office, and I continue to pray for the at-risk youth of your town, as well as for all who struggle with addiction. I recently learned that Fayette County has been identified as the poorest county in the state of Indiana. This determination must be a source of concern for the government of Connersville and the citizens of your city. I would like to express my personal solidarity with you and the support of the Catholic Archdiocese of Indianapolis for all efforts aimed at alleviating the suffering of the poor. I share your concern and want to convey my willingness to help. I have spoken with Father Dustin Boehm, the pastor of St. Gabriel Church. He assures me that he and the members of the parish are ready to do their part. The Catholic Archdiocese of Indianapolis and the parish of St. Gabriel will continue to reach out to help alleviate the immediate needs of those who struggle to make ends meet. We stand ready to assist in other ways you may suggest. I hope to convey the same message to the members of the City Council, the Fayette County Commissioners and County Council, and assure them of our concern and willingness to help. May our loving God show us how to address the great challenge of helping the citizens of Fayette County. Sincerely yours in Christ, Joseph W. Tobin, Archbishop of Indianapolis.
I think that he came down on a cold night. It was so cold your teeth shook to walk the park and pray, and I really appreciated they did. And then he has followed up the letter, as you see, and that shows that there's love and concern for our city. And I appreciate you reading that. I was very pleased when I got that letter. On another, I always try to keep the good things for the last of this meeting. We have received money from an estate, from the Huffmeyer estate, and I wanted to put something in the park that reflected their donation. It's an ongoing donation. We get money constantly. And the Board of Works went along with me. We're putting a sign, and it's more, if you kind of remember what Union Savings and Loan has up there, we'll be putting that up on the north corner up there by the community center. And you see we put banners up there all the time, soccer sign-ups, and the next day they blow down, and then we put them up, and then they blow down. We'll be able to put wireless, we'll be able to put all kinds of messages up there. Soccer sign-up, the John Smith wedding tonight, chamber dinner at 6 o'clock. We'll be able to do all that. This is all being made possible, not with tax money, but a donation that is designated only for Roberts Park and only to be decided by the Board of Works. That's the way the will run. It'll have a brick frame that'll come up to it. It's a little higher than the one at Union Savings. And in that brick frame, there'll be a stone cut, say in memory of Wayne and Mary Huffmeyer.
Sounds great.
Very nice.
Cool.
We hope to have that completed. We've been working at it. It should be completed. And I just wanted you to understand when you see them digging up there in the yard, what's going on. Okay. Clerk Treasurer, you want a report? Got it with
That's
you?
not the fund report. Anybody has any questions?
Public forum. Got some guys here who want to speak. Come forth. No one will come at once, just one at a time.
I just wanted to come and thank you for your voting for Storm. Thank you for your participation. I know that where the city's at, so I know that's a hard position, but I took 40 students to Michigan on a winter retreat this past weekend, and just reminded of the need. There was 1,000 students in that room. Just looking at the future work, and I appreciate that even though the city's where it's at, that there's people here willing to back and fight for our students. So thank you for your participation with Storm and helping us out.
We may be poor, but we're very rich in love and kindness.
Thank you, Council.
You're welcome, Rick.
Anybody else want to speak tonight? Come forth.
Seven, I do, in the comments.
Could you give us your name and
Yes,
address?
My name is Mr. Matthew S. Shepler. I'm a resident of the community of Connersville, Indiana. I just have a comment or an idea for the consideration of the city council or the community development department. Maybe if you can keep one of these on file, maybe pass one around.
Okay, do you want to run through it and tell us what you got in mind?
Basically, I have a comment that I'd like to present for the consideration of the city council, maybe in regards to the community developments. Again, to introduce myself, my name is Mr. Matthew S. Shepler. As an undergraduate student who is progressing through undergraduate studies within the private coeducational research University of Fordham, I believe that the idea that I'm about to present to you may decrease future breeding of mosquitoes within the area and also prevent future concerns that may relate to public health issues relating to malaria. The main idea would be to eliminate, the need to drain the property of 1111 Oak Street, which is lots number 29. It may range from lot number 29, 30, and 31. The property is owned by Billy Ray Mays. The property is known to hold and reserve still water, which I believe may concern the public health of citizens who inhabit the area. Mainly because of the fact that, the area may provide an environment that will support an increased mosquito population, which may include the public health concerns that relate to the parasitic protozoans infectious disease of malaria. To support that idea. According to Lyle W. Shannon in the text Underdeveloped Areas, a book of readings and research, taken from page 404. The United Nations Technical Assistance Mission to Haiti conducted a drainage within the underdeveloped area of Petite Gove, district of Oas Department of Haiti, and that was from 1942 to 1944. So being citizens of the great community of Cartersville, Indiana, I think that the municipal government should consider backfilling the property of lot number 29, or a lot that would range from 29, 30, or 31, to eliminate the possibility of future requirements, that may relate to swap drainage, as was exampled in the United Nations Technical Assistance Mission to Haiti. That did range from 1942 to 44. If anybody were feel the need to go back and reference. Likewise, I believe that it would decrease the chance of future public health issue that would develop because of malaria. Just an idea, maybe for the city council or the community development department to consider.
Is that the lot on the north side of Oak Street? Or it would be the west side of Oak Street where it's been filled in about half?
From 10th Street, it is on the west.
I think that's the old
west
traction
area.
line. Is that right? I think that's the old traction line went up through there.
I think you're right, yes.
Basically, I think the main concern is the property is known to reservoir, still water. And it just causes an environment for the breeding of mosquitoes. So,
We spray some areas for mosquitoes. We have one or two licensed sprayers that
Mike is.
we spray the parks and stuff like that. I know what you're talking about. I've looked at that. That began to be filled in different times and never was completed. We certainly will take a look at that.
okay, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Might be a public health issue that we might contact the health department. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else under public forum tonight? None appearing? Unless the council has something, I'm ready for a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Meeting adjourned.